Well, hello, hello. Greetings once again. Thank you for joining me for another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. We're going over the new releases in store for August 2020, 22nd, 2025. Look, I blew my first line. Who was it that recently said they blew their first line? I think it was Will Ferrell. Said, I went out for my first line on SNL and I blew it. I mean, I've been doing this for weeks, months, years. Still blowing first lines. Okay. So some people are just cursed that way. I got new releases to show you guys a lot this week. Fair amount. So I'm just going to jump in. I'll have a recommend at the end. And yeah. So that's all I got. You ready? Okay. First thing up, box sets. I usually do first. Miles Davis, 55. The Prestige recordings. So this is really cool. It's sort of a cutout cover. Very colorful here. Deluxe 3 LP box includes 180 gram vinyl, mastered by Paul Blakemore, lacquers cut by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio, featuring John Coltrane, Red Garland, Milt Jackson, and more. This is early Miles, obviously. It's a little more traditional, the stuff on Prestige, but kind of a cool box. I mean, a lot of this music has been available for a while, I think, but it's kind of neat how they've sort of just pulled out 1955 as a, and that is also available on CD, like a double CD if you don't want to spend that much. All right, box set out of the way. Big new release this week, 5 years since Deftones and their new record. This one's called Private Music. This is the indie exclusive version. Has kind of a pinky sort of purpley cover. That snake is cool looking. This is a sort of typical sort of Deftones kind of cover. This is a limited edition fog gray vinyl with the alternate cover. Yeah, what can I say about Deftones? I mean, they're probably, it's funny because I just had this conversation with somebody recently. Are Deftones iconic? And they kind of poo-pooed the idea of them being iconic. I mean, they're sort of heavy kind of rock band with kind of gothy overtones, and Chino Moreno's sort of plaintive and urgent, sometimes screamy vocals. And I suppose for a certain people of a certain age, they would say, "Oh, that's not iconic," you know. But I had to kind of shut them down and say, "Do you realize that currently I sell more Deftones records than almost any band that's popular out there?" And I would say they're up there with sort of like in the categories of legacy bands, people like Radiohead, Pearl Jam, Rage Against the Machine. I mean, they sell as much or more than some of those bands even in that category. Alice in Chains, those people. So Deftones have really sort of stepped it up in the last, especially last few years. I think a lot of the kids who went through the pandemic with us discovered Deftones, and kind of that is a band that a lot of them sort of agreed with as being a worthy band to follow. So yeah, I think they're sort of iconic at this point. There's also a cassette version. This is a little tiny blue. The actual cover of this is more blue, but there are different versions of this. I think there's a green one too. So anyway, we have the indie exclusive, which is the purple. I at least wanted to have that for as long as I can before shifting over once those run out. Okay, there's a few big releases this week. Laufey. I never know how to say that exactly. Laufey. Indie record. This is the Rouge color vinyl, autumn edition with an added poster and a note from Laufey. And this is her new record, A Matter of Time. She's sort of been kind of like sort of mellow jazzy sort of. And this one she takes a little bit of a turn more towards like pop rock stuff. So yeah, she's another very popular with young people, but I think she's the kind of artist that appeals to older people as well, because she's not so graphic in your face kind of. She's a little more sort of nuanced, super talented, and she did a bunch of work with Nora Jones and toured with her. So I think she's got the stamp of approval from the from the actual music community, musicians. So looks like maybe 13 songs here with an interlude. So anyway, Lover Girl, Snow White, Castle in Hollywood, Carousel. There's a theme going on there. All right. Another new release. It's been a long time for this guy. Mac DeMarco, his new album Guitar actually features vocals. I think his last album did not feature vocals. It's been maybe 5 years since he had a vocal record out. So it's this is the indie exclusive transparent orange vinyl. I don't think there are actually very many of these left at the warehouse already. So Shining, Sweeter, Phantom, Nightmare, Terror, Rock and Roll, Home. A lot of one-word titles, couple that aren't. But anyway, Mac is he's kind of like the sort of indie slacker guy that everybody wants to have as like their best friend or something. He's a cool guy and he's a good musician. All right. Looking forward to this project when the full length comes out, but a 45 of the new 9 Inch Nails single, 7 inch here from the Tron soundtrack, Tron Ares, that's coming out. This is As Alive as You Need Me to Be. If you've heard the song, you probably heard how great it is. So anyway, we just got a few of those. I think those might be running out at the warehouse too. And in big reissue territory this week, Smashing Pumpkins and Machina. I mean, people have been waiting for this for years and years. Like, would they just put out Machina again so we can afford it? Let's see. So this is the album Machina, the Machines of God. This one followed the oh, I'm trying to think of the name of the album now. Had the black cover with sort of the goth girl on it. Adore, which was probably my favorite record of theirs. So I know that's probably controversial. They embraced like drum machines and keyboards and stuff like that. It was more gothy. So this was a little more rock. It was their fifth and last record of the 90s. And it sort of saw them kind of at a crossroads where the band sort of didn't really fall apart, but they kind of started, Darcy was going or gone. This featured the song The Everlasting Gaze and Stand Inside Your Love. Those were two sort of hit singles from it. It's four sides of music here. So not as big of a project necessarily as Melancholy, which was 4 LPs, but still very popular record produced by Flood, who did so many great productions during that era. So check out Smashing Pumpkins Machina. Tonight in I think in Philadelphia, they say their final concert, and so this just happens to be coming out at the same time. The Who live at the Oval, 1971. And so classic Who concert. This is 1971. We're talking, what, 54 years? Newly mixed from the original 8-track analog tapes. Features epic live versions of Summertime Blues, Behind Blue Eyes, Won't Get Fooled Again, and Magic Bus. And so I said it's a double LP. This features, obviously Keith Moon was with them then. Pinball Wizard is on here. See Me, Feel Me, and Listening to You. My Generation, Naked Eye, Baby Don't You Do It. I mean, classic Who. And I think most people would probably say, "Well, I'd rather listen to like the Who original if I'm going to listen to him over and over at home, and then maybe go see the show." So I don't want to say R.I.P. the Who, but it kind of sounds like it might be that way. There's been all this tumultuous stuff going on with the drummers, and so if you've been following the news, I'm sure you've seen that. Finally, getting a reissue also. Billy Joel, greatest hits. People are like, well, they just put out all these Billy Joel records. Why do I need this? Well, this actually does feature at least one song that's nowhere else. You're Only Human, Second Wind, and I think The Night Is Still Young might also have been like the sort of exclusive tracks that were added to this to sell it. This was a double record, came out originally 1985. So he was sort of at his peak commercially. And it sort of does not feature songs like We and Start the Fire, River of Dreams. Those things came later. So this is, the prime classic Billy Joel stuff featuring Piano Man, Say Goodbye to Hollywood Live, New York State of Mind, The Stranger, Just the Way You Are, Moving Out, Only the Good Die Young, She's Always a Woman, My Life, Big Shot, You May Be Right, Still Rock and Roll to Me, Don't Ask Me Why, Pressure, Allentown, Good Night Saigon, Tell Her About It, Uptown Girl, The Longest Time, and You're Only Human, and The Night Is Still Young. I mean, not a Duff track there. I'm not the biggest fan of Billy Joel in the world, but I do respect and appreciate a lot of his songs, and there's some really great songs there. So nice compilation, finally back on vinyl again. I don't think there's anything super special about that, but yeah. Now going for someone this is their sort of later period, Eric Clapton Chronicles, the best of, and this is sort of like, this came out in like the mid 90s, when he'd sort of had a resurgence. He had the MTV Unplugged. He'd started working with Babyface and doing some stuff. This actually is kind of cool. It's on a black and white splatter vinyl. And it featured the song Change the World, which was a huge hit that he had with Babyface. Also, Tears in Heaven is on here. Layla, the unplugged version, and Wonderful Tonight Live. This also featured My Father's Eyes, which was another huge hit. Clapton, like, he just really had major resurgence in the 90s. There were times in the 80s where it was like, I don't know if he's going to make a comeback or not, and he sure did. This also has Pretending, which was an 80s song. It's in the Way That You Use It, Forever Man, She's Waiting, produced by Phil Collins. River of Tears, Get Lost, a couple of Simon Climby stuff. And there's more than that too, but yeah. So two big reissue greatest hits from older guys with black and white covers. Go figure. Don't think that wasn't noted there. All right, and speaking of classic records, Stevie Nicks' Belladonna, the Rhino Hi-Fi edition. Yes, they did a Rhino Hi-Fi of this, and her debut album as a solo artist. This is also super classic. What can I say about this? But it's probably one of the best sounding versions of this album that you could get, featuring Edge of 17, Leather and Lace, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, After the Glitter Fades. Those are like the main sort of popular remembered songs from this. But there is going to be a Rhino Hi-Fi of the first Fleetwood Mac album with Stevie and Lindsay, the one that's self-titled, that has Rhiannon and what's the others? Landslide. That'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks, I think. So, also there's a lot of reissues this week. John Fogerty and Legacy. This is the Creedence Clearwater Revival sort of edition. I mean, it's songs that he, I guess, chose to go ahead and produce as like a sort of a Creedence, paying homage to his Creedence years. The indie record store exclusive 2LP on ultra clear vinyl. featuring Up Around the Bend, Who'll Stop the Rain, Proud Mary, Have You Ever Seen the Rain, Looking Out My Back Door, Born on the Bayou. Let's see. It's a lot of, I mean, it's Down on the Corner, Bad Moon Rising, Green River, Fortunate Son, Traveling Band. Lot of reissues coming this week, and if you've been watching the music news, you've probably also seen the Beatles just announced reissuing the 4 volumes of anthology series in November, and there were really only 3 to begin with, so they've added a 4th. They're adding the songs that have come out since then, or sort of reordering them on the records, remixing them probably. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So, speaking of the Beatles, while I'm sort of at this point, there's also this week another box set that came out. I only ordered the CDs because the vinyl was about $400 almost. But somebody might want them if they can't find the records, so you'll have to let me know. But the CDs for $80, Oasis, the complete album collection. It's a nice little box. Has 8 studio albums there. Definitely Maybe, What's the Story, Morning Glory, Be Here Now, The Master Plan, sort of odds and ends. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, Heathen Chemistry, Don't Believe the Truth, and Dig Out Your Soul. So a little 8 CD box for $80. So what, $10 a CD? Not bad. Let's see. Another reissue this week. Chris Stapleton, Traveler. And this is, I think it's just the same basic album. I don't think they added anything to it. Translucent, ultra clear vinyl for the 10th anniversary. Gosh, has it been 10 years since Chris Stapleton hit the big time? It has been. Okay, moving right along. Kenny Burrell, original jazz classics. So this is on Kraft Recordings, excuse me. This is another one that was done by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. Kenny Burrell, as I said, on guitar here. This features contributions from Tommy Flanagan on piano, Elvin Jones on drums, Doug Watkins on bass, Cecil Payne on baritone sax. Originally came out in 1967. So, Kenny Burrell. All right. A few new releases, too. Also, it can't all be reissues, right? Wolf Alice and their new record. And it's called The Clearing. It contains the singles Bloom Baby Bloom and Just Two Girls. Indie exclusive bone color vinyl. This album's getting a lot of critical buzz. So, hopefully, Wolf Alice are kind of I don't want to say back on track, but I think they sort of kind of had a sort of mini explosion when they first came out, and it's sort of been, they've been trying to kind of find that sweet spot again since. So this might be the one. Also, a kind of a legacy artist at this point, but people really love her. Kathleen Edwards and her new album, Billionaire. This is endorsed by NPR. Edwards' lyrics resonate long after the music stops. Mastered for vinyl, album download inside, produced by Jason Isbell and Gina Johnson. So, kind of a big name producer there with Isbell. 10 tracks. Let's see. Song called When the Truth Comes Out. I mean, I don't know if this is called Billionaire, if it's sort of politically motivated or what, but Kathleen Edwards, people love her voice. In the pop world, new Ava Max record, and looking like she's on fire there a little bit, called Don't Click Play, translucent red vinyl. And if you can read those song titles, good luck. It's like pink on red. It's kind of hard to read. She's got a track called World's Smallest Violin. That's great. And a song called Sucks to Be My Ex. I'll only guess what Wet Hot American Dream is like, but pop stuff, if you're into the Britney scene or whatever. I say Britney like that. I mean, When's the last time she had a record out? God, it's been like ages. All right. This band, I think, is kind of having a buzz moment, and I'd really like to see them kind of take off. Royal Otis, and it's their new album called Hickey. This is a sort of indie exclusive cover for it, but they're sort of kind of like jangle rock Smiths inspired a little bit. If you haven't heard Royal Otis, go check them out on YouTube or something. It's spelled Royal, Royel, Otis, Otis, and this is a soda pop vinyl edition, parental advisory, of course, and it's on Capitol Records. So picked up by the American label. Superchunk, and they just keep making records, man. They have so many records. It's songs in the key of yikes. And Superchunk won't let a little thing like the brittle and cruel nature of human mortality get in the way of a good punk song. Says Rolling Stone. This is limited edition orange and black swirl vinyl on Merge Records. I think they've been on Merge for years and years now, maybe decades. Don't know. Sophie Tucker and their new album Butter, and their last album was called Bread. So this is kind of a companion piece to it. It says it embraces more like bossa nova type rhythms on it, but I think it's still pretty like kind of pop or electro pop or something. I'm not really exactly sure, but need to check them out. Sophie Tucker, Butter is the name of the album. Two records that I've been waiting for reissues for years and years, and I'm so glad that they're out again. This album kind of got a little bit of like backlash when it came out, but I loved it. It's electronic, Raise the Pressure. This album, great album cover, came out in 1995, 97. I'm trying to remember the original year, and of course it's not printed on the back. This was 2020. Oh, 96. So this was Bernard Sumner of New Order and Johnny Marr of the Smiths. This was their second album. They made the first one around 1990-91, and it was actually a pretty big hit. They ended up going out on tour supporting Depeche Mode as kind of a super, one of those like super band kind of things, you know, and it was actually pretty good. Well, this was, they're like, well, New Order were on break. Johnny Marr was no longer with the Smiths. He'd been playing with New Order, or not with sorry. And they kind of had a little bit of time and said, well, let's do another electronic record. The band name was Electronic. And so this they did with Karl Bartos of Kraftwerk, who'd kind of taken a lot of time off from that band. They hadn't made an album in a long time. So he kind of influenced a lot of the more electronic-y sounds on this album. And then the other tracks, the more rocky tracks, were some of their best kind of jangle pop songs. I think For You in particular, Forbidden City, Out of My League. Those are all great sort of jangle pop songs. And if you like the more dancey, kind of ravey side of the 90s, Dark Angel, Until the End of Time, If You've Got Love. Denise Johnson was featured on vocals on this album. She just passed away in the last couple years, a great soul singer, and she has quite a feature on Dark Angel. Danny Saber's on here. Guy Pratt plays bass on here, very famous bass player now. So Jed Lynch on drums, a lot of sort of famous people. I love this album. And then there's another one that came out a couple years later, and if you're more into their rock sound, this is sort of a heavier rock side. Yes, Rasputin. This is their third album, Twisted Tenderness, and this was their last album to date. The title track, Twisted Tenderness, is sort of a very New Order-y kind of somewhere. It's like a rock song with a lot of electronic in it. The rest of the album is pretty rockin', actually, for a band called Electronic More like electric, like a lot of electric guitar. But it's a great album. Make It Happen also is kind of like got some dancey beats, but Haze, Vivid. If you like Johnny Marr's harmonica playing on like Those records, particularly like songs on The Dusk and that album, and maybe Mind Bomb as well. Vivid is a great song featuring a lot of his harmonica playing. They do a cover of "Can't Find My Way Home," the song from Blind Faith. So anyway, that's our third and final record to date. The guys are just so busy with their solo careers, and well, Johnny's busy with his solo career, and Bernard's busy touring with New Order. They haven't made an album in 10 years. So, but two great sort of New Order, Smiths themed reissues. Probably a little more New Order sounding overall, since Bernard sings all of these records mainly. But yeah, Raise the Pressure and Twisted Tenderness. Uh, Things I talk about a lot. Howard Jones and a reissue of his Dream into Action album, The Farmyard Sessions Plus. So if you know the original cover, this is slightly different. These are orange color vinyl, 2 LP, featuring songs that were from the album plus additional tracks. 17 tracks on vinyl for the first time. Artwork contains previously unseen images, and these are songs or versions of songs that would end up on the album. Farmyard Studios actually had a farmyard, and so when he's playing, he said when he's playing "No One Is to Blame" in the courtyard there, you can actually hear the sheep sort of bleating in the fields out there, or hearing planes flying overhead because they were sort of outdoors. But it does feature versions of Things Can Only Get Better, which was the big hit from this. Also, No One Is to Blame, the other big hit from this. Two other hits, Like to Get to Know You Well and Look Mama, are featured. So in different versions, Howard Jones Farmyard Sessions. And another reissue, one of my favorite albums of the 80s, Depeche Mode, Black Celebration. This is Sony has taken over the rights of these now from Warner. So this has a Columbia thing on the back. The only thing is, it is the reissue of the British version, not the American. So it does not feature But Not Tonight at the end. It stops with New Dress. That's the way the album was originally done. So, but if you like goth pop, I'd say "Question of Lust" is one of their most beautiful songs. Martin Gore sings that. Stripped and "Question of Time," those are pretty good Dave Gahan sung tracks, like pop, kind of heavier. "Fly on the Windscreen," Black Celebration. Then there's also kind of more like kind of sweet songs that Martin sings throughout the album. Sometimes It Doesn't Matter. I love "Here Is the House." That's a great song too. So 1987, I think. Yeah. They also reissued a couple of early ones, I think. Speak and Spell, the first one with Just Can't Get Enough, and maybe, I want to say, Construction Time Again, which is like the third one. I don't know. They're doing them all out of order. I think they're doing them in the order that maybe they sell the most. So like the biggest sellers were done first already. Violator and such. Hey, this is really kind of cool. Pino Palladino and Blake Mills, an album called That Wasn't a Dream. Pino is like a famous bass player for a lot of people, and Blake Mills is just an incredible multi-instrumentalist, and supposedly kind of a jazzy record, and I'm not sure there are any vocals on it, to be quite honest. But That Wasn't a Dream is sort of an interesting side project for those guys. If we're going way back here to classical stuff from the last century, Music on Vinyl did a cool pressing of Terry Riley's In C. And Terry Riley, sort of, you can mention him in like circles with like Philip Glass, John Adams. Anyway, a limited edition of 750 individually numbered copies on gold colored vinyl, includes inserts. So Music on Vinyl did this. Terry Riley. Wait, I don't know what year. This is number 557. It's like 1980 or 1968. Sorry, 1968. And a couple of rap things here. Lupe Fiasco with Samurai DX. This is Red Swirl Vinyl, indie exclusive. Offers 2 new soundtrack produced songs from the Samurai sessions, plus remixes to the original album's highlights. Includes instrumental versions of all 5 songs, continuing the story of what he calls one of his most personal projects to date. The Samurai album did pretty well. Lupe, he has definite fan following, and popular guy, and a revered hip hop artist. A couple other hip hop reissues. Cherry Bomb. This is from Tyler the Creator, pressed on translucent blue vinyl, deluxe gatefold packaging with an 8-page booklet. This is the mask, what they call the mask cover. Tyler's, again, one of the most popular hip-hop artists out there right now. I wish they'd put his new albums out on vinyl, or album. And then, actually, I think there's a couple. And then also Cherry Bomb, the other cover. I mean, I don't know if you like a wet stain on your album cover, but I think Cherry Bomb is seen as kind of like one of his like okay records, but like when people talk favorite Tyler records, that's not usually it, but got to get him out there because he's a popular guy. Okay, and in CD world, I wanted to show you a few things here. So, Badfinger, they reissued the album Ass, which has a giant carrot on it with this mule sort of staring at it. I think these are import pressings. It has a bonus track called Do You Mind? Because they're a little bit more expensive in like the mid-20s. Then there's Badfinger Kansas City 1972. This says live FM broadcast. So we'll see how official that is. And also Badfinger unreleased and some released. And this is another 24 rarities. Name of the Game, Money Flying, Perfection, Suitcase. Just because some Badfinger stuff. Badfinger's very popular still. James Yorkston and Friends. And this is... James is like a singer-songwriter. He spends a lot of time in like the northern countries of Europe. This features Nina Persson of the Cardigans, who is on his last record, and Johanna Soderberg from First Aid Kit, and members of the Secondhand Orchestra. I believe this is also available on vinyl. You can see Nina where my finger is there. So if you want it on vinyl, let me know. Otherwise, we just have the CD of that. Country guy Russell Dickerson, Famous Back Home is the name of his new album. Again, this is also available on vinyl if you're interested, on Triple Tigers Records. 3 Days Grace, and their first record in a little while here, Alienation. So they're like what, a late 90s, 2000s kind of band, still going strong. Old Dominion, another sort of country band. This one is called Barbara. I'm not sure why. Produced by Old Dominion and Shane McAnally, who was also a country star in his own right. The Imaginaries, and this looks like a sort of a blues rock folk couple with songs produced featuring Vince Gill and Joe Bonamassa, as heard on NBC, ABC, and Netflix. So someone can tell me something about that. Ariel Posen is on there as well. The Commoners, live in the UK. They're sort of a Americana type looking rock band. I don't know if they're sort of more country. They look more sort of rock. Case Oates. She's another one that I think I can get the vinyl of. Last Missouri Exit. This is Casey Gomez Walker's debut, produced by Spencer Tweedy. If you love Waxahachie, there's a good chance you'll find out this year that you're a Case Oates fan too. So check out Case Oates. Spencer Tweedy, son of Jeff Tweedy of Wilco. By the way, Jeff has a new solo record coming out. It's like a triple vinyl or something. It's a lot. Asleep at the Wheel, Riding High in Texas. And this is 50 years in Texas. I don't know what to say about Texas today, and this features songs by Peter Rowan, Guy Clark, Charlie Daniels, Jimmy Rogers. Jazz, new John Batiste. The vinyl should be here shortly. And this one is called Big Money. 7-time Grammy winner. He did had Album of the Year a few years ago. You'd know him from being on Stephen Colbert's show. Featuring Randy Newman, Andra Day, and No ID, and Billy Bob Bo Bob. So, new John Batiste. Another jazz release, You're Exaggerating by Paul Cornish. He's on Blue Note. A Benny Golson collection featuring 8 albums on 4 CDs. Benny Golson classics. I think probably mostly from the 60s here. And then a couple of reissues on CD from Talk Talk, Spirit of Eden, and my favorite, Color of Spring. They're both great, but Spirit of Eden is much more sort of abstract. Color of Spring, still pretty song-based mostly, but 2 of the greatest albums of the 80s and ever made. There, I said it. All right. Last thing for today, I wanted to give you my recommend of the week. I'm going to keep this brief because we're already pushing 40 minutes again. I recommend the Sundays and their debut album, Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic. If you're into dream pop, more than shoegaze, I think it's more dream pop. The Smiths, jangle pop. Harriet Wheeler has an amazing voice, and if you've never heard this, you need to hear it. Go sample it. They only have 3 albums, so you can get through their entire discography in like less than 3 hours. The 3rd album, the last one, came out in 1997, so it's been 28 years since they put out a record, and they just kind of choose not to, and at this point, they're one of the few bands that I think if they decided to put out a record today, even without having the album for 28 years, it would be really popular. So they're wanted back. This features the single Here's Where the Story Ends. Great, great pop song. Harriet's voice, it gets compared a lot to Liz Fraser of the Cocteau Twins. I think it's a little less frilly than that and a little less gothy. More jangly kind of vocal. Sweeter, some jazzy tones even. Other songs on here, Can't Be Sure. Great song. Hideous Towns has this really super fast kind of underlying drum pattern that's great. Really pushes that along. You're Not the Only One I Know. What an incredible melody. That song just cascades all over the place. Songs like I Kicked a Boy, very more Smiths indebted kind of sounding. This did come out in 1990. So it's been a while. 4 people in the band. Ends with My Finest Hour and Joy, which pretty joyous. Produced by the Sundays with Ray Shulman, who did some work with Echo and the Bunnymen, and also engineered with Gail Lamborn and Alan Moulder. Alan Moulder ended up doing lots of work for Depeche Mode and people like that. 9 Inch Nails. Skin and Bones, the first song, also very like kind of an iconic, like kind of an airy sound. Their sound is very uncluttered. It's a very acoustic bass sound. There are electric guitars, but it's really heavily acoustic to kind of frame her beautiful vocals. If you just like jangle rock of the 80s, you like REM and stuff like that, it's like sort of like a female counterpart of that mixed with the Smiths or something. Go listen to the Sundays. That's all I got to say. If people listen to the more Sundays, the world would probably be a much happier place. All right. Please make a record at some point. I don't know. They probably have been this whole time and are just too like paranoid, they say, about putting it out. Thanks guys. I'll see you again next week. More new releases, but there were a lot this week, I think. I mean, there's more and more, and we're getting all sorts of announcements. So keep watching this space. Thanks, and have a great weekend. See you next time. Peace.